What is up, rock fans? My name is Robert Freehill, and you can find me on Instagram at r.freehill or at Big Wall Hall. And today we are going to be reviewing the Sportiva Skwama high performance climbing shoe. I ordered mine directly from Sportiva.com. It was a super easy process. Allowed me to create a profile, save my information, and got here super fast. I think got here like 3 days, and I'm in Houston, Texas. So your standard shoe box, pretty sweet coloring. Lets us know that it's a climbing shoe. Provides us the model, the coloring, the sizing, any size conversions. Along the back, it also has a size conversion chart, but if you don't know your size, I highly recommend that you try these shoes on and any other climbing shoe on first, because the shoes fit a little bit differently for each person. So even though you may generally be a particular size, you could be a different size in this particular shoe. Also lets us know that these shoes are made in Italy, which is pretty sweet. So fancy and high performing. Take that, Ferragamo. Opening it up, you see we've got some packaging, plastic, and then the sweet shoes themselves. And I really like these shoes. The coloring is awesome. The black and yellow and red contrasts really nicely. So they look cool, as well as if you're taking photos, whether it's for just the gram or you've got a professional photographer or videographer, these shoes really provide a nice pop of color. Regardless of the type of climbing surface you're on, whether it's gym walls or sandstone, limestone, granite, these shoes definitely stand out. And I really enjoy the shaping and the lines of these particular shoes. The Ferraris of climbing shoes, folks. These are high performance climbing slippers. So what does that exactly mean? So you are not going to, there are no laces, so you're not going to be lacing these ones up. You're actually going to be slipping your foot into these shoes. As you can see, there's elastic on the upper part of the shoe, which is then secured by this Velcro strap. These shoes tend to create an airlock when your feet slide into them, which is really excellent for making sure the shoe is doing what you tell it to do, so for responsiveness, and two, your foot isn't moving around while you're climbing in them, which is extremely frustrating if it happens. But that's never happened in these shoes to me, and I've had multiple pairs. These shoes tend to fit pretty snugly, so that's why I say you definitely want to try them on before you buy them. You will use these pull rings to slide them onto and over your feet. And then you'll secure it with this Velcro strap that I indicated earlier. The Velcro strap gives you a couple options for securing it. You've got a lower section, which is good for probably higher volume feet individuals. I prefer it up here at the top because that's what fits my foot a little bit better. Obviously, use whatever's most comfortable for you. The upper of this shoe is made of unlined leather and elastic. And then of course you've got this rubber panel that we'll talk about in a second. If you are going from a shoe that had lined leather to this shoe, which is unlined leather, you're going to want to make sure it fits appropriately, and you're probably going to need to downsize a little bit in order to do that, downsize from your other shoe size. Because when you lose the liner, you gain a little bit of space in that shoe. I like the unlined leather because it allows for a little bit more sensitivity of the shoe. It's a little bit more flexible. It also cuts down on the weight issue. This shoe, according to Sportiva, is high in asymmetry. And as you guys might imagine, that means that if you draw a line down the center of the shoe, or roughly the center of the shoe, the same amount of shoe is not going to be on both sides of that line. Now, this is important for the functionality and the performance of this shoe, but it does mean that this shoe fits a little bit different and feels a little bit different when you're first in it. So like I said, try it on, make sure this is the shoe that fits your feet the right way for you to be able to climb at your best. It certainly is that shoe for me in sport bouldering applications, that's for sure. As you can see up here at the top, we've got this large section of toe rubber. The toe rubber is nice and thin, so whenever I'm toe hooking and I place my toe on that edge or on that undercling or around the corner, I get a lot of sensation from the contact point. So I know exactly where my toe is. I know exactly where my foot is on that particular formation, which gives me a lot of security in the toe hook. The toe rubber also has a lot of texture on it, as you can see, which means that where I place my toe, it really doesn't move. And I don't toe hook a ton, but every time I have in these shoes, I felt very, very secure, and I haven't worried at all about my foot moving. The only drawback that I have experienced with regard to this particular piece of toe rubber is the edges tend to peel up right around here, like right over that big toe knuckle. And that could be just because of the way my foot fits in these shoes. But what I've done is just super glue it back down and press it down, no factor. It doesn't affect the performance or the fit or feel of this shoe. It's just, something I got to do. Moving on to the back of the shoe, this is the patented La Sportiva S heel or stabilizer heel. As you can see, this heel has got a lot more rubber on it than you see on most climbing shoes. You can also see the rubber extends all the way into the rand rather than just the strip of rubber that comes from the heel sole up the back, which the extra rubber I really like because it allows you to get a whole lot of pressure on that edge or against the wall, on that little crystal or smear, whatever it is, or it's not really a smear, but little dish, without creating discomfort on your heel or on your Achilles area, the back of your heel, which is really nice because especially if you're climbing overhangs, you're climbing around arêtes, or like me, you're climbing a lot of limestone, which tends to be sharp and pointy, you can really get a lot of pressure on that heel and you don't feel it on your skin. You don't feel it in the heel itself. It doesn't create pain, which is really, really helpful for being able to climb at a high level or higher level. You also see the heel has got a lot of texture on it. So it's got various textures throughout the heel. It's also got a lot of lines and separations. So that way you can really get that heel placed nice and snug and it's not going to move. So I really enjoy the S heel, and especially if you guys are climbing over roofs and things like that. This heel is excellent for heel hooking over roofs into mantles. I really can't say enough good things about it. All right, I mentioned the rand system earlier. So this particular shoe from La Sportiva has the P3 rand. As you can see, the little branding right there, which it tells you stands for Permanent Power Platform. Now, before we get into that a little bit further, what is the rand? The rand is actually this rubber section that is between the sole and the upper of the shoe. So, and with the P3 randing system, it actually wraps around the entire shoe. So you see this yellow section, it goes all the way underneath the shoe, underneath the front of the shoe and around the back of the Achilles heel section of the shoe, or Achilles tendon rather, not Achilles heel. Now what does that do? That allows for the shoe to maintain its shape over time despite use. Whereas other shoes that don't have this randing system can change shape, they can lose the downturn aspect of this shoe. This randing system helps keep that shoe in place, or helps keep that shoe's form while not sacrificing power and performance. So even over time, if you call on the toe power of this shoe, or the toe of this shoe, you're gonna be able to get all of your leg power out of it, even if you've been climbing on it for months and months or longer. I've had multiple types of climbing shoes, some with the P3 system, some without it, and you definitely notice a difference, especially over time. So whatever those folks over at La Sportiva are doing, they've done it right on this front. The sole itself is split, you can see. So there's the heel section is separate from the toe section. This is pretty good from a weight perspective, so you lose this extra bit of rubber that would normally be here. So that helps with weight. It also helps with the flexibility of the shoe. So the shoe is a little bit more responsive than shoes with the full sole. The drawback of that, however, can be that your foot fatigues a little bit earlier because you don't have that extra bit of support. So maybe you can't climb as long, or if you're doing some real technical stuff with your feet, you know, your foot may get tired a little bit earlier, but to me, the weight and sensitivity aspects of this split sole really make up for it. The sole itself is made of 4 millimeters of Vibram XS Grip 2 rubber. It tells you right here. Vibram XS Grip 2 rubber is a competition grade high performance rubber. So that means it's really soft, really sticky, very responsive. So it helps with the sensitivity of the shoe. It also means that when you put your foot on something, it generally is not going to move, which I really found very helpful and comforting when you're trying to climb, you know, especially towards your limit. I really like being able to know that if I put my foot on something, whether it's a small dime, a little edge, or this tiny dish, or this, you know, very small overhanging piece, that it's gonna stay and I'm gonna be able to get all the power I need out of my legs because the shoe's gonna stay where it needs to be and the rubber's not gonna fail. It's not gonna slide. Now, the drawbacks of a much softer competitive grade rubber is they tend to wear down a little bit sooner. So if you're climbing on a real rough rock, whether that's granite or sandstone, or, you know, your footwork isn't as precise as it could be, or you would like it to be, you're going to wear the rubber down a little bit faster. So just bear that in mind. You know, you can always resole these if you need to. Shout out to the guys at Rock and Resole up in Colorado. You also see on the toe section of this sole, you have this teardrop cutout. The teardrop cutout is really nice because you've got already a downturned shoe, and so you tend to balance between these 2 points of the shoe. But for when you're climbing things like slabs or on volumes, this teardrop cutout allows the shoe sole in the front to flex. So you can increase the surface area of the sole that is contacting the flat surface. So this shoe allows you to both toe like a champ, but then you can also climb on flatter surfaces, whether they're slabs or volumes, and you get a lot of surface area, so it's good for that friction style climbing. It's also nice, you know, if you get to a ledge rest in the middle of a route or something like that, you're not stuck balancing on your toe or insecure, or I at least tend to feel insecure when I'm just perched between the heel and the toe. You know, in these shoes, I feel a little bit more secure because they flatten out onto the ledge. All right, I have climbed in these shoes on granite, limestone, and I use them as my everyday climbers in the gym. I absolutely love these shoes. They have made me, or helped me, climb at a much higher level, much harder grade, which was really pretty cool for me. I climb on roots and boulders. So whether you're climbing overhangs, flat, slabby roots, or real technical face climbing, these shoes have always performed for me. I do not recommend them if you're going to be climbing cracks, or if you're going to be climbing long multi-pitches or really long routes. They tend to get a little bit uncomfortable after about an hour and a half in them, for me at least. I've been able to mitigate that issue by just unstrapping them, and then I'll pull the heel off and let my feet rest a little bit, you know, for a couple minutes or so, and then I can pull them back on. No problem, I'm ready to keep going. And then for cracks, you know, you have this rather aggressive downturned toe, which is great for face climbing, great for slab climbing, you know, that technical type of footwork. However, for cracks, if you're toe jamming, you know, you've got to fit your toe into that crack, and then you need to be able to twist it or cam it. And so the toe on this shoe is not very low profile, so it makes getting it into the crack a little bit more difficult. And then you have a rather soft upper and a softer sole. So when you cam the foot inside the crack, you don't have the support that you get from other shoes that are more designed for crack climbing. So it can be a little bit more painful than it otherwise would be. You know, disclaimer, crack climbing or toe jamming is never comfortable, so it's not like it's not gonna be super nice. It's just a little bit less nice in these shoes. But those are my thoughts. That's my review on the La Sportiva Skwama. I highly recommend these for any sport climber or boulderer. If you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns, or whatnot, hit me up in the DMs. Like I said, my Instagram is at r.freehill, that's Freehill, or at bigwallhaul, BIGWALLHAUL. And remember, folks, life's short, go big.